What up, everyone? So, as I stated in my most recent video, this channel is going to be about reviews of all things, everything in general, including movies, boxes, video games, everything of that nature. So that's where I'm going with it, just reviews in general. Also, what I want to do is discussion topics. I touched on that briefly way back when. There's a can't think of the word. There's a little category on my main page though that has some discussion topics, and that's something I'd really like to do too. Because originally when I started this channel, that's what I wanted to do. It became about helping people and collectibles and stuff, but I really wanted to do just discussion topics to just talk to people about things in general. So this video is going to kind of be both. It's going to be a review and also a discussion topic. The review is a game review, and the game that I'm going to review is TMNT Legends. And the discussion topic is the same thing. It's basically mobile games and long-term play video games. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure there's a better name for it, by the way. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments. I just couldn't think of a better term for it. What I mean by that is that games are evolving lately, and as they always are, and mobile games these days aren't what they were when smartphones first came out. They used to always be these just like quick 2-second games you played for a little while, but now they're evolving to these long-term play games that people end up playing for years and putting just thousands of hours of time into it, and it's just becoming a new thing. And I thought this concept was crazy at first, like I'm sure most people do, but I've really come to enjoy it, and it's become like a regular part of my life. So I'm just curious what everyone else's thoughts are on those same type of things, and if you guys play any of those too, and what your thoughts are on it, and where video games are kind of headed in this day and age. So that's what this video will be about, both of those things. But more about that general topic is that, console games were the thing for the longest time. People had console games, and all those games have story modes and things like that. So most people would consider those like games they play for an extended period of time. But I've played a lot of those, and honestly most of them you end up putting in around 100 hours, give or take. But these mobile games that I'm starting to play now, like TMNT Legends, I'm putting in over 1,000 hours of it just to beat the game. And it sounds crazy, but it's just becoming a bigger thing. And there are a lot of games that are coming out just like that. Hold on, let me pull up my little list here. So yeah, the ones that are very well known are TMNT Legends, Marvel Contest of Champions, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. They have DC Legends. Some new ones that have come out are like there's a new Power Rangers one, Legacy Wars, Transformers Forged to Fight. There's a new one coming out, Marvel Strike Force. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is one that's been around. That one's not new, and Marvel Future Fight. And essentially what these are, most of them are RPG games, where they're not action-based games, because they probably wouldn't keep people's interest in it for too long if it was all action-based. Contest of Champions is. That is an action-based game, but still the same concept of these other ones. And basically what it is, it's still RPG in the sense, it's an action-based RPG. What you do is that these games just have a ton of characters based on a certain theme, and they have them for just about every genre nowadays, and then more of them keep popping up every other day, and soon they're coming out with, I think, a Jurassic Park one from what I saw. So there's a lot of them out there, and they keep popping up. And essentially you gather characters and you level them up, just like in any RPG. And there's always like a level-based system and a stat-based system based on stars. And basically what you do is you farm for these characters. You find it's like cards or DNA or something like that, depending on which game it is, to collect these characters and to upgrade them. And that's essentially what all these games are just like. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the one exception. That one's not character-based, but it's just similar in that sense that you're farming for something. That one you're farming for cards instead of characters, but similar overall concept. Now, I was introduced to this with this game that I'm reviewing, which is TMNT Legends, that I had no idea existed. I just saw it randomly and got really addicted to it. Now, me personally, I'm a big fan of RPG games. The reason for that is, not that I don't like action-based games, it's just that, for me, I'm just a very busy person, and I don't like to have to set time aside to play video games. I'm an adult, I like to play, but I just have too much going on, where console games are just kind of out of the question for me for the most part, because I can't really designate time to just do that one thing. Now, these mobile games and these RPG games, I don't have to set time aside. I can do them whenever. I can do them for play for 5 seconds here and there throughout the day. I can do it while I'm driving, honestly. It's easy to do while I'm at the DMV, while I'm at work, while I'm taking a dump. It doesn't matter. I can do that at any time. I don't have to set aside specific time for that. It just kind of goes along with me. And I think that's why these games are becoming so popular. Because like I said, committing 1,000 hours to a video game sounds stupid. But when you're doing it 10 seconds at a time here and there throughout the day, and you're not giving up any extra time, that time goes by so quickly, and before you know it, you've been playing this for a couple hundred hours, but you haven't committed any time to it. So I think that's why I like them, and I think that's why a lot of other people like them too. So the reason I got into it was because of TMNT Legends, because I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan, for anyone who doesn't know. And if you're a Ninja Turtles fan too, I'm sure you have heard of this game, but if you haven't, definitely check it out because it's a lot of fun to play, and I personally really liked it. But all these other games, even if you aren't a Turtles fan, there's one for just about everything out there. Marvel's got the most. Contest of Champions is an action-based game where it's player versus player, kind of in a tournament-based tournament fighting type of thing where it's 1 versus 1. Then Marvel Future Fight is also action-based, but it's more of an RPG where you have specific attacks, but you kind of go through a 3-dimensional plane. And then the new one coming out, which I'm most excited for, is Marvel Strike Force. It hasn't been released yet, and they've been talking about it for a long time, but that's where it's more like Legends and more like Galaxy Heroes and DC Legends, like those games where it's turn-based RPG. And these are all extremely similar, which I normally would say is a bad idea that they're so similar, but I actually kind of like it. Like, if it's a good game system, and if it isn't broke, then, don't fix it. I just like that they have it for each genre depending on what you like. And basically what it is, you have characters, you level them up and get abilities, and it's turn-based, and you just have a specific attacks that you can do, and the same concept where you farm for DNA and you collect these characters and level them up, and each time you rank them up, there's usually a star-based system. Each time you rank up a star, you get a new attack, and that's basically how it is. And like I said before, what I like about it is I don't have to commit any time. I can pause it at any point. That's what I liked about the original Pokemon games. Like, I like those because you didn't have to commit time. You could save it at any point and then start up the game again, and it's right there where you left off. Even better, since it's a mobile game, these things, you don't have to boot up a system. It's not a console-based thing where you have to turn it off and turn it on. My cell phone is with me at all times. It never gets turned off. It gets plugged into my car to charge and plugged in at home. It literally never turns off, so I don't ever have to stop. I can just stop and start exactly where I left off at any point. Now, another thing to call these long-term play games is also these pay-to-play games. So that's something they all have in common too, where you don't ever have to pay to play these games. They're all free to play, but it's always very clear that these companies very much want your money, and it's constantly thrown at you to pay to do certain things. But like me and most people, we don't pay. There's always ways around it, and that's why a lot of these things take so much time, because they make it difficult to progress through without paying a certain amount of money. So, let's talk about this specific one that I'm talking about. Let's get into the review portion of it, which is TMNT Legends. I'm a big fan of this game. They keep updating it. They did a recent update back in the end of October. Not a lot of people weren't a big fan of it. They changed a lot of the game's dynamics, but something I really love about this is it's really in-depth. They have a lot of detail in this game. So at this point, the game has 81 characters, and these are all different characters. They're completely different, as in they have, it's called Legends because there's different versions of each turtle in there. So for example, they have like 10 different versions of Leonardo in there, which normally for a game, it would just be like a palette swap, a different costume you would play in the game. But this one, they actually make them separate characters, which is really cool. So they have the classic 80s cartoon version, and they also have the modern cartoon version of Leonardo, but they're completely different characters. They have completely different moves, they have completely different abilities, they have completely different animations, so they really took the time to make everything they put into the game very unique, and that's what I really like. And that's what kept me playing. Because if these characters were just normal palette swaps to get different colors and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't have invested any time into it. But the fact that they're completely different characters, it really kept me going. And I'm such a Turtles fan that I really know all these characters, and it's just cool to see all the different versions of them. It's cool to build teams, and I really like the math behind it. I like the logistics of it. Like, I kind of like building teams and figuring that stuff out. So it was very enjoyable for me. So that's things that I really like about it. Things that I disliked about it right off the bat One is the prices they have in there. So let me start off by saying I'm all for supporting. Damn it. Sorry, my screensaver popped up. So I'm all for supporting video games and anything. I'm all for giving some of my money. I'm not trying to be too stingy. I know people don't want to pay for it, and I don't blame them for that. But at a certain point, I like to volunteer money, because if people are doing a good job and making a good game, I think they deserve some money. I think they deserve some payment for that, because I'm not trying to just get all kinds of stuff for free. I think payment is due when it's deserved, and I think they definitely do deserve it at a certain point. Also, giving money keeps the game alive and helps it cycle through. That's why when I talked about Marvel vs. Capcom back in the day, I didn't have a problem paying for DLC, because that keeps the game alive. I'm not just paying for those characters, I'm paying for the life of that game to continue on so people can play it for years to come, and they keep putting new things into it. Same thing with this game. They have a subscription service here where it's $10 a month, which sounds like a lot. I don't mind that, me personally, because it does give you a lot of extra incentives. It gives you things that regenerate regularly, and it's not a lot of money to me personally, so I didn't have a problem paying that amount. I think that's fair, but you don't have to. That's just totally up to you. But I thought that was fair for them, and that's also so it keeps the game alive. I'm giving a little bit each month. Doesn't really matter to me, but that's it though. I'll pay for that subscription because I think they deserve that, but the prices they ask in-game are a bit absurd. They're a little bit crazy, and what I mean by that is they have these character packs where you can buy characters, and those packs often cost about $70 per character. Yes, $70, $70 for one character. And the worst part about it is you don't even get to pick the character. It's at random, and even worse than that, that you don't even, there's not even guaranteed a new character. You might get a duplicate character. You might pay $70 and get a character you already have. And again, once you pay $70, it's not even a full-blown upgraded character. It's just a base character with, I think, 3 stars, which the maximum was 5 at level 1. And that's just crazy. I did the math, and if you didn't want to go through all the process and spend a year playing this game, and you just wanted to spend money, you could spend upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 just to get all the characters, not even to get everything. That's insane. It's almost insulting that they would even ask that. Even the best of like high quality PS4, Xbox One video games only cost $60 for a complete game most of the time. The fact that they even ask for $70 for one character is almost insulting that they'd even ask. But, you know, I try to just look past it. I've never purchased any of that, and I don't think anyone else has either. But it's just kind of weird. It's just very obvious from the start that they definitely want your money, and there's no way around that they want that. So there's a fine line between paying a fair amount and them being money hungry. So you definitely get that sense from them right away. The only other major complaint I got about it is they have a lot of small glitches in there. It seems like that game is kind of being run by a very small team of people. They have, because for people that have played, you notice that they do updates on Facebook because there's schedules that they put out for when events are and things like that. And the Facebook thing is always kind of late a lot of the times. It's always lackluster. They don't really reply to comments. So I have a feeling it's a very, very small team of people that are there. And I imagine they're not getting a ton of money, so it's not possible for them to have a big team. But there's a bunch of little glitches in there in the game that always kind of pop up where the game sometimes quits, or there's certain abilities that just don't work, and there's always little bits and pieces here. And when I've had major problems and contacted them, they usually reply. They're pretty good about that, but there's just a lot of little things in there too. And I'm sure that's the same case for a lot of these mobile games, but I've just only noticed it because I played this game religiously. So things I'm going to talk about in this review, like I always do, I always give a 3 rating system. I always give 3 numbers and give an overall score to the game. So the first one I'll talk about is the graphics. This is one I'll do for all the games, and this one I'm going to give a 6.5 out of 10 because I think it's decent, but this game also came out probably almost 2 years ago now. It's a year and a half, almost 2 years ago this game came out. I've been playing it now for I think about a year. And back when it first came out, the graphics were pretty spectacular. But nowadays, since there's so many new ones coming out, and I've seen these Marvel ones, they don't seem as good by comparison. But I really like it. Now, keep in mind, these graphic ratings are only based on a mobile game. That's what I'm basing it off. As soon as you put this game on like an iPad or blow it up at all, the graphics look like shit. It's super grainy and pixelated. But for an iPhone, it looks pretty nice. And I like that they really put a lot of detail into the characters, so that's really shown, but it's hard to get super great graphics on a cheap game, especially a free mobile game, so that's why it gets a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's really good. I think it's good enough, and I really do enjoy it. I have no complaints about the graphics, because on my phone, and the characters are very tiny in there, so, and they have character animations, but it all looks good to me. I think I really like it, but it's not spectacular. Like I said, the more modern ones, a lot of the Disney Marvel stuff has like really good graphics, and it's just not quite there, but still really impressive for a free game. Next, the gameplay. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10 for the gameplay because I thoroughly enjoy it. I really like it, but just know you're going to have to put in a lot of time. If your goal is to beat the game, which that wasn't mine. Mine was just to have fun and play it. And I usually, the time I play it the most is when I'm at the gym on the treadmill. I'll be running or jogging or something like that, and I'll have it there, and I'll just kind of play as I'm going. So, like I said, I'm not devoting any time to it. And honestly, since I like playing it, that would cause me to be on the treadmill longer and cause me to work out more. So, it worked out for me. So if your goal is to beat the game, no, it's going to take a long time. I've played this game for a year now, and not just a little bit. When I got really into it, collectively, I probably played for at least an hour a day, and sometimes when I just wanted to play while I'm out doing stuff, I would play it for like 3 or 4 hours a day, every day. I've never missed a day because I enjoy it so much for a year, and I just recently beat the game. Just recently finished the final chapter in the game. Recently. And just recently unlocked all the characters. They just released more, so I have to unlock those, but again, a full year, because like I said, 81 characters, and it's a lot of time. So I wouldn't let that discourage you by any means. It's more about just having fun playing the game, and that's why I play it. But yeah, it always kept me going. Like I said, the gameplay is really cool. I like that it's action-based. Every character has a set of different moves. Each move has its own specific character animation. A lot of them have little cutscenes they do, but every single one is different. There are no two moves or actions or characters that are alike in any way. So that really keeps your interest and keeps you wanting to do more. Keeps you wanting to unlock the next character. Keeps you wanting to get that one extra star so they get that one extra move and have that one extra ability. And the thing I really like about the gameplay is that most RPGs I've played in the past are similar to that, where they have a specific set of moves, but this one has statistics with every single move. So it's not just a basic attack. Each time you do an attack, there's always a percentage chance of something happening. Like the character's going to lose defense, or a character's going to gain attack, or gain ability, or armor, or something like that. Every single move has a certain statistic, and that makes it kind of fun, because it's kind of a gamble each time you play, and you want to try and build a team with the best odds and things that go along with each other. So again, things that kept me interested. So I really liked it, but the reason it doesn't get a higher score is because I think some people might be turned off to it, that some people don't want to invest that much time into it. But that's why I wanted to do more of a discussion and see what you guys think about it, and maybe that score will change down the line, because I don't know how much the people are into these games, because I've never really had a discussion for it. So yeah, gameplay at 8 out of 10. And the last one, I think I'm just going to say fun. Overall fun and enjoyment from the game, I'm going to say a 7 out of 10. There's very few times where I'm frustrated with the game. Not a lot of them, but there are some times that show up where it's very clear that the company just wants money, and the company just wants to get stuff from you, and they make that very clear by making things a little excessively difficult just to get some money from you. So that's definitely annoying, but very few and far between. Not a lot of them. They definitely keep it interesting, and they've changed the game recently, where they used to do timed based things where there was events that happen at certain times a day, and that always kept it fun. But the most recent update has changed things, so you're not playing as much, which I'm kind of bummed about, but I'm not going to get too much into that. But yeah, they made it really interesting. They made it fun where it keeps your interest, and all the things I said about the different characters and things like that. Yeah, I've really had a good time, and I still play it, like I said, a year later, hours a day, and I'm not losing interest whatsoever. And the one thing is, I'm not sure if they're going to continue support for this. So I'm weary after that last update. I feel like it might be the last update they're doing. We haven't really heard anything about it, and the game hasn't seen any updates. They usually give updates of what's coming next. We haven't heard any for months since the last update in October, I believe it was. End of October, early November. So it's been a few months and we haven't heard anything about any updates. And as you all know, that new Ninja Turtles cartoon is coming out, and I'm not sure if they're going to keep support for the game. I think they might start over and do a separate game to support the new show, whereas it would make sense that this one's Legends and this is all the Turtles franchises, that they would just come to this one and put those characters in. I would love it if they did that. Even though those characters look like shit, I'd still love it if they just kept supporting this and kept putting new characters into it. I would think that was awesome, but I just don't see that happening. I feel like they would just create a new game and ditch this one, which is such a bummer. I really hope that they do, because there's so many more characters they can put in from different versions of the Turtles, and I wish they would, and I think a lot of people would like that too. Just being honest though, I don't think they're going to, but I'm still playing it until they officially like stop support for it. So yeah, that's what it's, so yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So overall, that score gets a 7.2. I think this is a really enjoyable game and worth putting your time into. But again, keep in mind that's for Ninja Turtles fans. If you're not a Ninja Turtles fan, you're probably not going to want to invest that much time in it, but that's just my feelings. But like I said, there's one for pretty much every franchise here, and they're all very similar. So back to more of the discussion part of it, I'd like to know what you guys think. Do you guys play any of these games? How long have you played them for? How long do you plan on playing them for? Do you care about them at all? Are you more console player? What goes on with that? And I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on some of these other games. I know people always say they like one more than the other, but I think that's more based on their fandom more than the game. Because I've played a little bit of all of them. The only ones I've played a lot, I've played this one obviously. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links a lot. I'm a big fan of that one. And I'll definitely play Marvel Strike Force. I think that one looks super interesting. I haven't played the other Marvel ones because they're action-based, and like I said, I just don't want to commit time and have to focus on my phone. I like to kind of multitask and do two things at once. But I played the DC one. That one seems pretty similar. That one looks cool. But again, I'm just not as much of a DC fan as I am for Marvel and Turtles, so I've played it here and there in bits and pieces. And I tried out the Star Wars one, but same thing. Star Wars is pretty low on my fandom. I still like it, but probably wouldn't invest a bunch of time. The Power Rangers and Transformers ones both look really cool. The Power Rangers one specifically, I was never a big Power Rangers fan, but same concept as this, where it's like Legends, where it's all the different versions of Power Rangers, where they have the 90s versions of the Power Rangers, and they have the more modern versions, and they have the movie versions. That I think is really cool. I've always liked it when they've done all of them through time. So even though I'm not a Power Rangers fan, I was actually considering checking that one out and just seeing what's up with that. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of those games, and if you recommend any. If you've played all of these and you have a top one, let me know. And again, like, tell me how many hours you've invested into. Are you crazy like me where you've put a year into it? And not that I had to. Like I said, I just started playing it one day and I just never stopped. I never thought I'd be playing it a year later. It just kind of happened. I'm just taking a poop here one day and just kind of playing through it, and then next thing I know, I'm playing it every single day. Just kind of happens. So yeah, I'd like to check those out, and I'm super excited for Marvel Strike Force, but they won't give a release date on it. I don't know why. They just keep saying 2018. The last update was back in November, but that's one I'd be really excited for, especially since Fox is back with Disney and Marvel. I'd like to see all those characters, and it'll be an easy game to do because they have those other two franchises like Marvel Future Fight. They already have the character models for all these players. It's easy to port them over and just make new character animations. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. I feel like I had something else to say and I can't remember right now. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on it, and let's get a little discussion going. Let me know what you guys thought about the game. And I always have a lot of tips and tricks about the game. If anyone's interested at all, I can do a separate video on that, talking more specifically about the game. Other than that, look forward to more reviews. If anyone's not following me on social media, please do. You will see more. I'm going to do more of the boxes, individual box reviews, individual collective reviews that don't deserve a whole video in social media and showing pictures there, so find me on there if you can. Other than that, I'll save the bigger reviews for videos, things that I have a lot to talk about, like specific games. Movie reviews are probably going to be on here, and then the monthly unboxing and review will always be on here as well. And again, let me know what you guys want to see. If there's something you want to see reviewed, a certain box you want to see on here, certain collectibles you want an opinion on, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. We're kind of, like I said, starting this from ground zero and starting over, and we're just going to kind of play it by ear. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a discussion. Other than that, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you on the next video. Love you all. Peace.